What's up, everybody? It's Ariel here, and welcome to another Yu-Gi-Oh 101 discussion video. And in this video, we're going to be talking about the latest update to the Konami Forbidden and Limited list, also known as the ban list amongst us duelists and people who are informed about the Yu-Gi-Oh card game. And there's some latest updates that I've seen. Now, I did take a quick glance at the list before I started doing this video, so I'm not going to be like, oh, like this is my first time shock. I don't do that crap. But there are some surprises in this, some surprising cards that are making returns that a lot of people are going to be like kind of shocked by it. And that was a hint right there. And you're going to understand why I said that. But without further ado, I know people want to see it. But before I get started, I want to say that I did take a look at the OCG ban list that was updated, I think, like a couple weeks ago, and I don't remember specifically everything that was on it, but I do remember one thing in particular that there was no cards that were banned. There were no new banned cards, and I was just like, it would be crazy if the TCG didn't ban any cards this time around. It's not that I can even think of anything. For one, I haven't been playing Yu-Gi-Oh, so I'm not that well informed as to what is so overpowered or maybe so broken that it needs to go. But like, I'm pretty sure somebody is going to inform me on that, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to prove them that they're wrong. But nevertheless, uh, but yeah, all jokes aside, let's just go ahead and take a look at everything. So right now we're going to be taking a look at the new band list to see if anything, well, I already told you guys I already took a quick look at it. So just taking a quick look at all the new cards that may be forbidden. As you can see, so looks like the TCG did do, what the OCG did, and they did not ban any cards, which, again, I haven't been that informed or that into Yu-Gi-Oh! These past couple months. Like, I haven't been that active in it. That's the word I was looking for, to know whether or not a card needs to be banned or not. So I'm not informed of that. So now we're going to be taking a look at the new limited cards. And the first limited card that will be making a return from being banned is Glow Up Bulb. Now, Glow Up Bulb was in a plant build, I believe like early last year to late 2012. And it was real active. This was back when like Spore and all of those were like in the same build and all of that. And people would just continuously use Glow Up Bulb nonstop and Spore in order to make like fucking what I'm saying, Quasar Dragon, and it would be ridiculous. So I don't think it's as bad as it was when that was active. So I can see Glow Up Bulb making a return, and it did. Infernity Archfiend. Now, I knew the Infernities were going to get touched for whatever reason. I just had like this gut feeling, like I knew something was going to happen to him. Like I knew something was going to happen to him, and I didn't know what. And least of all things, Infernity Archfiend getting touched. So it's limited now. So I guess people are going to be running away from it. I mean, you guys only have one barrier. You got one Infernity Archfiend. But look on the bright side. At least you still got Infernity Launcher. That's not banned yet. I don't think they're ever going to ban that damn card. But yeah, so continuing to scroll down. Also, Raigeki. Raigeki is making a return. Now this is early Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, this is taking it back to the first series of Yu-Gi-Oh! This is during like the early days. I'm talking about 2002 when this card was still legal, and this is like the first time since that first era of Yu-Gi-Oh! Where this card is actually going to be playable again. Now this is going to be fun. This is just seeing Raigeki active. I mean, and I understand why they brought it back too. The reason why they brought it back is because a lot of builds these days, they have a lot of abilities to really swarm the field and have these great field advantages. And since a lot of the cards these days have, well, these days it seems like more and more monsters are getting the ability to where they can, or well, they can't be destroyed by, your opponent's card effects. You know, is it really necessary to keep cards that can destroy your opponent's monsters? Is it necessary to keep cards like that, out of the game anymore? And looking at that and the fact that, for the builds that don't have monsters like that, they do have like incredible swarm tactics where they can just swarm the field with countless monsters non-stop and do all these crazy special summons, fusion summons, exceed summons, synchro summons. You know what I mean? And not to mention the new pendulum summon, that they introduced in the game this year. You know, literally like just swarming the field become ever so easier, and you need options to get rid of those monsters because some decks just can't hang, even with other pendulum builds. It's just like certain builds just cannot keep up with that, so they need options outside of Dark Hole and outside of outside of cards like Dark Hole and um Torrential Tribute. You know what I'm saying? Like they need more options in order to get cards off the field. Every card isn't going to be able to summon uh Black Rose Dragon and like nuke the field. So it's good that they brought that back. I can actually see why they did it, and it does make sense as to why they brought it back. Next up, Soul Charge. I don't think anybody who's been active in the game ever since Soul Charge was brought into the TCG, I don't think it surprises anybody that Soul Charge is limited. I'm I think it's a truth be told, like I think it surprises more people that Soul Charge isn't banned. You have to understand the reason why Soul Charge isn't banned is because it costs a lot to use it. However, people have ways of overcoming this by using cards like it was on the tip of my fucking tongue too. That's a damn shame. When I was thinking of the card, and I don't know, but it's a card that heals you, and that life point cost that you have to pay for Soul Charge, it adds up. That's like 1,000 per monster, I believe, that you bring back from the graveyard. And like you can only activate one Soul Charge per turn or whatever the case is. But it's a lot of life points that you have to pay. That's a huge cost in order to use Soul Charge. And it's the closest thing to Monster Reborn that you're going to get in the form of a spell card these days. And yeah, well, I would relate it more so to like, premature burial. So, so yeah, this card is just, you know, really like it's no surprise that it's, being limited or at least something happened to it. It's really no surprise to anybody. At least I don't think so. Next up, we have Super Polymerization. Now, this is another card that I understand why they hit it, because Super Polymerization it's pretty much a fusion card with no worries. It's a fusion card with with literally no worries at all. You can fuse whatever you want from your side of the field or your opponent's side of the field, and they can't do shit about it. So, looking at decks, especially like the elemental heroes that have literally abused the hell out of Super Polymerization and all the search support and the few good search, the few cards that can search out, Super Polymerization, a card being as good as it is, it only really has, I would say, like at max, I'd say about probably 3 or 4 ways that you can search for it, and all of them are good. So, it's one of those things where it's just like, you probably didn't see it happening, but you can't really be mad at the fact that it did happen. Because if they're trying to promote fair play, then it's pretty fair to say that Super Poly, it should have been hit probably way before this, to be honest with you. Like, well, no one's really surprised at that either. So, next up, we're looking at the semi-limited. Now we have Blackwing Gale the Whirlwind. Why don't they just unlimit this card already? I mean, like, it's getting to that point where, Blackwing, saying like Gale the Whirlwind, I don't know, like, it's good, but at the same time, I'm just looking at it like, it's not as good as it used to be. It's still good when used properly and used at the proper time. So I can't really say that it's, overpowered or anything like that, but it's because it does depend on when you use it that really determines when and how good it can be. But, it's, like it is what it is. Like, excuse me. Um, it it's just like a tuner that can use shrink basically. So maybe that's the reason why they have an unlimited, because you're looking at the, you're really looking at a fact that you have a monster that can use shrink and that is a tuner. So that's kind of like a rare combination right there when you have a like a tuner monster that can lower your opponent's monster's attack by half, and you know that monster is a tuner. So you can go straight into like a synchro summon with that. So you know, I can see why they haven't unlimited, you know, that card yet, but at the same time, you know what I'm saying, eventually it will get unlimited. I can see it happening, or rather, I wouldn't be surprised if it did happen, um, at around like sometime in the near future. So next up, we have Gores, the Emissary of Darkness. Gores is pretty much in that same category um, as cards such as, well, pretty much, yeah. Gores is pretty much in the same category as like um Gale the Whirlwind. And what I mean by that is it's a card that's good, but you know, it's so many anti-effect cards out there these days, like Fiendish Chain, and people can still use cards like Divine Wrath, not to mention the monsters and everything else going on. There's even cards that can prevent Gores from being summoned during the battle phase. Saying like when a monster's effect is supposed to activate. So Gores being semi-limited, I can't really see. You know, so like, why not? Why not? So next up we have Ceasefire. Who cares? The uh, transmigration prophecy. That's another one. Like, who cares? Like the spell books and the prophecies, they you know, I don't know, like they haven't been as active. So it's, I don't know. It's one of those things where it's just, you know, if you're gonna unlimit it, just go ahead and unlimit it. And that's for Ceasefire and the Transmigration Prophecy. It's just like, ugh. If you're gonna unlimit it, just go ahead and do it. Why tease it? Uh, so I guess they're just trying to see how well it's going to be at 2 before they decide to do that. Whatever the case is, Ceasefire, I think it's only a matter of time before they unlimit that card. I don't know. I just don't see it being semi-limited for very long. All right, so moving on to the creme de la creme. What cards are unlimited? Coat Soldier Wolfbark. It was limited, and then they unlimited it. What was the point of limiting it in the first place? Magician of Faith, nobody gave a damn that it was even back. It's still not as good, since fucking Monster Reborn left. I mean, now that people can reuse cards like Raigeki and Dark Hole now, you know, maybe it can see more use, but at the same time, it's just like, really, Magician of Faith is just okay. Just bring it back. There's more effective magicians to use than Magician of Faith, so it's not a threat anymore. Without Monster Reborn and without cards like Premature Burial, Magician of Faith is never really looked at as that card. Unless you're running a build that completely focuses on wiping out your opponent's monsters entirely. Again, reusing Raigeki for all you fucking grammar Nazis out there. And cards like Dark Hole, it's one of those things where it's just like, whatever. Formula Synchron, semi-limited last time. Nobody bothered to use it. You know, People only really abused it with cards like Tick Genis Hyper Librarian. Since that was limited, nobody bothered to touch it anymore. And it's just like that one whore that nobody wants to fuck anymore because everybody had their turn. I mean, that's like that may not be the most kid friendly way to say it, but that's pretty much the best description I can give of like Formula Synchron. It's literally that. And Reinforcement of the Army. They finally unlimited that card. I mean, I never understood what the hell. Well, I understood why it was limited to in the first place. I was happy when they when it was semi-limited last format. Well, actually, last format is like this format because this format doesn't kick off until tomorrow on the 1st. But I wasn't surprised when they, when the card got semi-limited because it was something that should have happened way before then. And the only reason why it was limited for as long as it was because of the elemental heroes. That archetype stopped a lot of things from, or that archetype it prevented a lot of good things from happening for the warrior type monsters, and it getting and those builds getting like the support they need, only because since elemental heroes are, they are of the same type, they are like some warrior type monsters, or they are, saying like warrior type monsters, they can receive any type of warriors, non-monster support. And when you have an archetype being as versatile as it is, you have to take away certain things, even if it means hurting all these other builds that come with it. So I guess since they got rid of Stratos, and that being like the one card that was really causing like the big grief, and they semi-limited reinforcement of the army, and finally they unlimited it. So yay for the warrior types. You finally, us warrior type users, we finally have, everything from like the battling boxers, the fucking new elemental heroes, the masked heroes, all that. Well, actually, masked heroes don't even go into the main deck. I don't even know why the hell I said that. But but like the new elemental heroes and all the other warrior builds out there that was having trouble, with some decent search support, because like the warriors had none, and it was all because elemental heroes had everything. They pretty much dominated like that type of monster for so damn long. So now, as far as my opinions on this ban list, of course it goes in effect, which it goes in effect tomorrow, which is Wednesday, October 1st, and it stays that way until the end of the year. And there's a new format coming January 1st, 2015. So top of the new year, we'll be getting a new format, and I didn't have any predictions as to what's going to happen again because I wasn't active in the game. I didn't know what was good out there or whatever, or what was overpowered or broken for me to even make an opinion as to have like any type of card predictions as to what's going to make a return, what's going to get banned, or what have you. So I just kept my mouth shut on it, and seeing what happened to it, I mean, I'm pretty sure we're going to be seeing a lot more of Raigeki for those reasons that I gave earlier. It's a lot of swarm builds, and now with these, these pendulum monsters, any deck can swarm now. Any deck can swarm, and I think more people are still unfamiliar with, that method. So to give them something, I guess, to kind of catch them up to speed, or at least give them an option to do something about all of that, I think that's good for them. And yeah, man, it's crazy that they brought back Raigeki though. Like Raigeki is literally like that is like literally like one of the first lineup of cards that they released in Yu-Gi-Oh so long ago. And like I'm not really sure what pack it came in, but it was in that first lineup of booster packs, like during like the early days of Yu-Gi-Oh. Like this was like one of the first cards ever made for the game, and it got banned after a while, and you know it hasn't been seen since. So to see that make a return, that actually, I don't know, like it has like a feeling of nostalgia for me. So that's cool. So it's gonna be good to really see it in action. So all the people that was on Dueling Network that had to go into like the uh traditional, so like section for using like banned cards and things like that, You don't have to worry about doing that anymore because Raigeki is legal now. So, yay! Um, Super polymerization is going to be interesting to see how people use that at one. Of course, more Blackwing users are going to be using Gale of the Whirlwind more often. Gores is going to be used more often. Um, Ceasefire, can't really see that being used too much. I don't even remember what Ceasefire does. That may be something I need to look up. Let me see. Ceasefire YuGiOh. Hold on. Because I really need to look at this. I faintly remember what it does. Like, I barely remember. Let me take a good look. Change all face down defense position monsters on the field to face up defense position. Flip effects are not activated at this time, and also inflict 500 damage. Okay, I say this is good for like going up against like the Ghost Ricks and uh, things like that maybe, and going up against like those um, defensive builds. So, but again, like I can see a card like that, in all honesty, being you know what I'm saying? I could see a card like that being unlimited soon. So yeah, Transmigration of Prophecy again, another card. I think it's probably good, semi-limited, and for everything else, I'm not surprised that they unlimited any of that. So you know what I'm saying? Like why was Wolfbark even limited to begin with? I really don't have any clue. But so folks, there you go. This is the new ban list, and it looks exciting. We have the return of Raigeki, and that's always something to get hype about when they bring back selling one of the original cards from Yu-Gi-Oh. And when I say original cards, I mean one of the original cards from the first series of Yu-Gi-Oh. That was literally like one of the first that was in that first lineup of cards to actually be released as official cards into the game. So it's crazy. So yeah, man. Link to this list will be in the description. You guys can check it out. So you guys tell me your thoughts, man. You guys excited to see Raigeki? And for the people that don't know what Raigeki is or haven't or wasn't active in Yu-Gi-Oh during the time of Raigeki, during those early days, like way before it got banned, this is a card that you guys should look up because you're going to be seeing it used a lot often. Just think Dark Hole without having to risk your monsters, and you're going to get it. So, with that being said, peace, and see you guys later.